This is CNN Breaking News.
And we have some breaking news for you. The identity of Anonymous revealed. We now know who the senior administration official was who wrote that alarming 2018 New York Times op-ed titled, "I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration," which detailed how the author and other members of the Trump administration deliberately worked to undermine orders by President Trump for the good of the nation because they believed President Trump was amoral and damaging the United States. The official also wrote a book called A Warning, published late last year. Now CNN has learned the identity of that anonymous author, which has been a source of a great deal of speculation. That anonymous senior administration official is the now former chief of staff at the Department of Homeland Security, Miles Taylor. In a lengthy statement just released, Taylor says, quote, "I wrote a warning, a character study of the current commander-in-chief, and a caution to voters that it wasn't as bad as it looked inside the Trump administration. It was worse. While I claim sole authorship of the work, the sentiments expressed within it were widely held among officials at the highest levels of the federal government." In other words, Trump's own lieutenants were alarmed by his instability. Taylor, who has now become an outspoken critic of President Trump publicly, explains in this statement that he remained anonymous in the op-ed so the focus could stay on his words instead of Trump's insults. Taylor is now revealing his identity 6 days before Election Day, warning that President Trump will be unbound in a second term and push the limits of his power, and that President Trump has made the U.S. less safe and less united. Taylor adding in his statement, quote, "I was wrong, however, about one major assertion in my original op-ed. The country cannot rely on well-intentioned, unelected bureaucrats around the president to steer him toward what's right. He has purged most of them anyway. Nor can the country rely on Congress to deliver us from Trump's wayward whims. The people themselves are the ultimate check on the nation's chief executive." Now, after the release of the 2018 op-ed, President Trump called it gutless and a disgrace. He questioned on Twitter whether it was treason. And the White House press secretary at the time, Sarah Sanders, said, quote, "This coward should do the right thing and resign." We have reached out to the White House for comment on the newly revealed identity. We will bring that to you when we get it. We should note that Miles Taylor is also now a CNN contributor, although we did not know this until today. Let's discuss this breaking news. Caitlin Collins, let's go to you. I don't know if you've had a chance to get a response from the White House or not, but what's your take on it all?
We haven't heard from them yet, obviously, since you just broke this, Jake, but White House officials have been talking about this all afternoon, waiting for this news to come out. I do think some of them will be relieved that it's not someone new that is criticizing the administration, someone who has worked here. Obviously, they knew Miles Taylor was a critic of theirs since he revealed his criticism and endorsed Joe Biden around the Republican convention, but he certainly was someone who was a top aide to the former DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen. He worked for her for 2 years and was in these meetings with President Trump, other top aides, people like John Kelly. He knows Chad Wolf, the acting DHS Secretary now, but I do think the White House had this sense of anxiety that this could be a top military general or someone of that nature that was going to come out, just a few days before the election. And Miles Taylor is someone that they are familiar with. They do know that he has been critical of what the president has said and has revealed things that the president has said about immigration policy in private meetings. These are damning statements coming from the president of what he said when he believes it's just his top aides around the room, things that Miles Taylor has revealed since he came out and endorsed Joe Biden. But I do think there will be a sense of relief that it's not someone that they weren't aware of that had already been critical of the president to a degree, Jake.
All right, Caitlin Collins, thanks.